All right, welcome everyone. I know we may still have a few more people joining us and several of you joining us for the recording after this. This is the Boulder Insight December Tableau Live session, and this is our final Tableau Live session in this format. So we'll tell you more about how we're going to be bringing Tableau Live to organizations. It also is free, but a way for us to be working together. So today we brought the band all together. So you've got Christy Clark as one of your co-hosts today. I'm Heather DeTillo. Sarah Heinrichsen will be here as well today. And we brought back our GGTK, Chris Cox, to be co-hosting with us. And we also are bringing back a few of our greatest hits in addition to the live questions that have been, the Tableau live questions that have been submitted by you all today. We'll get to those first. So back in the day, we started doing a couple Tableau Live greatest hits like albums. So we brought back the album covers today as well. And we're going to bring back some of our greatest hits as well. And we'll have some giveaways for all of you too. So we'll start today with the submitted questions that we've received. We're going to bring back one of our greatest hits, which is the Tableau Live spinner that we launched during a Carousel webinar and then on stage at TC this year twice. And then we'll move into a free giveaway with the greatest hits. This is a question that comes from the community often, and what chart to use when. So we'll have a Twibix file for you, a Tableau workbook for you that has all of the different chart types and when you would want to be using them. Not all, but many of the common ones. And then it even comes with the step-by-step instructions on how to build each of those. And then we'll talk about what's happening next for Big, and some giveaways for you as well that we'll be talking about. And if there's any additional open Q&A questions, you can submit those anytime throughout the session. And if we haven't gotten to them already and above, we'll do that and we'll wrap up for the day. So we're so thrilled to have you all. It's so much fun seeing some new faces and some old faces as well with us. So thank you for being here. And let's go ahead and jump in. I'm going to bring up the big question spinner. Let me I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'll reshare with my audio. So hang on one second. Share sound and audio. Okay. So you all have been generous enough to submit your questions in advance. Again, if you have a question that you did not submit, feel free to put it in the chat and we'll do our best to get to all of them today. So I'm going to start by spinning this. This is a fun little tool Chris built for it. Let me turn up my volume a bit more to make sure you're hearing that. And we'll stop. Woohoo! So this first question was submitted by Deneen. And thank you, Deneen, for being here again today. And Deneen had a question around displaying Tableau Cloud visuals in Salesforce. Deneen, if you want to come off mute and add any more context, feel free to do that.
Sure. Lucky me, I'm first. How lucky am I? No, it's just a general question. Again, like I know there are probably options. And so I just want to know what a couple of those options are. Can I just put a link to, Tableau Cloud within Salesforce and, you click out, or can I render it right there within Well, what's the easiest way to render it in Salesforce? Because I know
Perfect.
that's an option.
Great. Sarah, I think we had you queued up to take this question, and Chris and Christy, feel
Yes.
free to chime in as well. So,
Yeah. Um, being having quite a bit of experience with Tableau and then also with Salesforce. At my last role, I did a lot of Salesforce admin work with an org that we had kind of created. So I know a little bit about this. I haven't done it myself. But yeah, in the chat, Chris kind of stole my thunder there, but yes.
No, I didn't steal
Oh,
your
was it
thunder. I
just to
said,
me?
yes, it was just to you. I didn't say anything
Oh, well,
wrong.
now I stole my own thunder. Um,
I was just trying to help.
yeah. So here's a great here's a great one of the help articles. Um, and that's a great place to start. I will tell you a couple of things. One is um, the big thing when using embedded views in Salesforce, kind of the easiest way to do that is if your Tableau cloud instance is set up with Salesforce authentication.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the easiest way, right? That's the most seamless way because when you display views in Salesforce, they're not having to re-log in into Tableau Cloud.
So
Now,
that single
obviously,
sign-on. Okay.
yes, yes. And I have done that. We did that with like my past instance of this. And um, and so that's kind of the best case scenario. Now, you can still do it without setting it up that way. And there are web components that you add into Salesforce um, to where that you can embed those Tableau views in there. Like I said, if you do not have that Salesforce authentication set up on your Tableau cloud, then they will have to like re-log in, not re-log in, but log in to their Tableau cloud using their credentials in order to see that. Because when you don't have that link between the two, then your permissioning is different between the two applications, right?
Okay.
That's the big thing. Other than that, there's not a whole lot of bells and whistles around it or like extra tips and tricks. I think those are the two big ones because all you're really doing is embedding that web component. Um, that component, I guess, is maybe a better way to say it, embedding that component into a Salesforce page, whether that's your home page or if that's a specific page to, um, within a specific application within Salesforce. That kind of depends on how your admin has set up your Salesforce instance.
Got it.
Um, but other than that, you're just adding that component to a page, and then you're embedding that view from Tableau Cloud. And then
And is
whether or
that
not,
page an actual Tableau like a lightning component that's within
yes,
Salesforce? Okay.
yes, yeah. Um, so it's actually you're setting it up on the page, and then you're inputting that web component within that Lightning page.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and I I don't think that I don't think that it can filter automatically yet. Now there are Tableau's doing a lot of work with Tableau Next and Data Cloud and Data 360 and all of the extra things to where there's going to be more connection between your Salesforce instance and your Tableau visualizations. Um, but right now I don't think it can filter. So putting it on like a individual account um, page, right? If you're like
Hmm.
in your accounts, that's not going to filter down to that particular account or anything like that. So, um, as far as I know,
Oh,
I
okay.
can double
Okay.
check, but as far as I know, it's not going to filter it down, not automatically anyway.
You're
So,
talking about permissions, like permissions
no, I'm
to data
talking
sets
more.
or
No, the permissions are going to be held,
okay.
right? So, whatever permissions you have set up on Tableau Cloud, those are going to be replicated within the web component, within the
Okay.
component within Salesforce, um, which is why they have to re-log in or they have to log in to their online their cloud account.
Got it.
Um, so uh, so that, and then the other nice thing, sorry to keep kind of beating this, but the other nice thing about Salesforce authentication is that it like leverages a lot of the permissions that you set up in Salesforce based on data and like what people can see and things like that. So there are some benefits outside of just the logging in aspect. So and then what was the other thing I was going to say? The other thing I was going to say was, oh, I was talking about like if you embedded a Tableau visualization within like the account Lightning page, um, that visualization by default is not going to be filtered to that account when you open up that account or open up a specific account.
Okay. Okay. I
Do you
think
see what
I
I'm
get it.
saying?
I think I
Okay,
get it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if you have, 10 accounts and you have ABC account, if you embed a Tableau visualization onto your account page, it's not necessarily going to filter that down. I need to double check on that is the thing, but I I will double check on that aspect.
Okay. That's perfect. And I'll take a look
Great.
at the information that you provided in the link. So that should help out as well. All right.
Yep, absolutely. And like I said, it's pretty straightforward to just kind of add the element to the page um and go from there. It's just kind of the other implications that you have to think about as well on top of that.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Mm.
Great question. Okay, let me spin again. All right. So this is another question from Cora that's on the call right now too, around data prep and how to organize data in Excel to feed into Tableau. And I know, Christy, we were also going to talk about data modeling and some referencing as well. But Cora, if there's anything you want to add and you want to come off mute, you're welcome to do that before Christy jumps into her answer for you.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks for picking my question.
Of
So I
course.
am currently in the very, very early stages of planning a Tableau dashboard for our program, and we have a lot of data. It's, kind of dirty. We're cleaning it up, and I kind of wanted a little bit of advice on how to organize all of the different types of data we have in Excel so I can only have, or I can only use one spreadsheet to feed into Tableau to do what I want it to do on the dashboard, if that makes sense.
All
It
right.
does to me.
Yeah. So when you say one spreadsheet, are you okay with it being one workbook?
Oh,
Or
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
okay,
just one
awesome.
file would be great.
Okay. I do a lot of work in Excel. It makes me very happy because there's so much flexibility there. So you should be seeing an Excel spreadsheet workbook now or a Google Sheet, close enough. Everybody seeing that?
We sure are.
Yes.
So this is essentially Tableau's global superstore data. And from a spreadsheet standpoint, this is the right format. I don't know why it's not letting me scroll. There we go. What you're seeing here is every column represents one thing, every row represents one thing, and every value in here is at the same level. In other words, this data set, one individual row represents one line item on one receipt. And so if we scroll over and we see where the numbers are, Excel is easier to maintain if you have the numbers across like this. And I'm assuming you're manually putting the data in Excel, you're not importing it from other systems.
I export it from SAS, so
Great.
I wouldn't be manually entering it, but I guess I could clean it up so that every item would be its own row.
Yeah. So honestly, when I use Excel, I use it by kind of mimicking the structure of a relational database. So in here, almost everything is on the one orders table, but let's say that I had information about something else. Like for example, in this one, I've got information over here that might be at the client level. So we might have total commitment. Okay. And so since that's client level, not receipt, like maybe they've got a budget of $10,000 and $20,000, those numbers that represent a different level of detail in the data, I would do in a separate sheet, but make sure that you've got a column linking it back. If you want to do it all in one spreadsheet, you can, but that gets a little bit messier with the data because of the way Tableau aggregates. But the big thing I want you to notice is there's no headers here. I don't have any columns merged. It's just one big spreadsheet with everything going on down. And you can have as many of those different tabs as you want, representing different topics. But every row in there, any value you look at, you should be able to go back and say, oh, in this case, that's from one line item on one receipt. I'm not also grabbing the $10,000 that the company is committed to and bringing that into the same spreadsheet. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Does that, I'm going to take and pull this into Tableau next and kind of show you why I would do it that way. As I'm pulling that in, have you done joins or unions outside of Tableau before? Are those concepts you're comfortable with? Or are those newer for
Yes.
you? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Tableau lets you do all of the joining and everything inside of Tableau itself. So I can go through and join these tables together and rebuild one big worksheet. But there's one other thing I want to call attention to because while Excel makes it nice and easy to have all of this data going across, that gets a little bit less fun in Tableau when you start building everything out. So here's that exact same spreadsheet connected in a workbook, and there's all of the different tabs across the bottom. So I can bring those in, and then from here, I can start doing my joins and my pulling in of the other data. So are you familiar with the difference between relationships and, or sorry, between logical and physical layers in Tableau or relationships and joins? Is that a concept you're comfortable with?
I wouldn't say very comfortable, but I'm aware.
Yeah. So if you do end up doing different spreadsheets with different levels of detail, like here where I've got the one that's at the company level and then the other that's at the receipt level, really recommend using relationships, which means you're not double clicking on a sheet and going in and doing hard joins. Because if you did a hard join here, that would be the same thing as merging it into the spreadsheet and duplicating down the page all that company information. But if you leave it out and at this level do a relationship, that allows the data to roll up within its own spreadsheet and kind of sit next to each other. So if I brought in that same table right here, Tableau gives you the ability to say, hey, what field is common on these two data sets? And then each one of these are going to roll up separately. So that's
Okay.
the big piece to start with. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Now I'm going to pull this out because I'm going to go into one more thing because I love working with Excel because we have lots of flexibility in how we can kind of play the data. And this is something I used to do a lot of to prototype. But you'll notice that each one of those different variables comes in as a separate column, which overall is fine. But one of the big challenges is um, as we come in, all of that data pulls through as separate columns. So if I want to look at profit and I want to look at sales, I got to grab both of those and bring those in separately. Again, this is fine, but depending on your data, you may need to do things like if you do a lot of ratios, for example, which is
Hmm.
coincidentally the example I'm going to show, um, it can get really cumbersome to start building your calculations because you've got to go through and create calculated fields for each separate ratio, for each separate change. And it can just get a little bit messy to deal with because each one of these are starting separately. So, one other thing that I really enjoy doing with the data is introducing something called a reference table. So, Cora, do you have many ratios that you'll be looking at in your data, or are you just going to be displaying the numbers as they are?
I'm thinking of doing percentages and then also ratios. Yeah.
Okay.
So half
Yeah.
half.
Cool. Then you are my target audience. Love
Yay.
it. So I have started building in when I'm prototyping data, these things called reference tables. So here I've got a super duper tiny, tiny, tiny one. So these are just a list of a couple of different metrics that might come in. So margin, for example, with my margin, I'm going to take my profit as my numerator. And for that same margin calculation, I can take a sales variable as the denominator. So this reference table is really just defining what some of my formulas might look like. And here I've only got two. I've got margin and I've got unit price. The reason I bring this up is particularly when you're first prototyping, you're going to iterate a lot on your data. And I know I've got Alexi on this call who can testify to this. and how often you have to kind of go back and replay with it as you're trying to conceptualize what it is that you're doing. But these reference tables can help make the data a whole lot easier to work with. So let me just kind of show that really quick. Having every column, every variable as a separate column is easier to store in Excel, harder to work with in Tableau. Thankfully, Tableau gives us a tool to give us the best of both worlds. I can select my variables and tell Tableau, hey, I want you to switch these down. I want you to pivot this data. So instead of having each one of those as separate variables, when we pivot it, Tableau takes the column header and moves that down as separate rows, and then my values end up as a separate field. So I can rename this, and these will be my variable names, and then these will be my values. So I can still do the exact same building that I did before, dragging in things like profit and sales. But the difference here is I can take my variable name and I can drag one variable name in, and that's going to list all of my variables. And then the value field, when I bring that in, is going to break up by those variables. So that same view I had before, if I wanted to, I could just keep these two individual variables. So I've got my profit and my sales. This makes it easier because I've got one field that I can format and one field if I do a lot of table calculations or other more refining calculations, I can do on top of that one field. But beyond that, it enables me to use my metric table. So, last but not least, I hate writing calculations. Instead, with this metric table, I can bring that on in and say, hey, you know what? My variable name on one side matches up to a variable name on the other. And because of the way these relationships work, Tableau's going to let you bring these in and use these values to build your calculations. So if I want to calculate margin and unit price, those ratios or percentages, then when I come back on over, I can build a single calculation that's going to be fairly similar to what I would have done otherwise, but now I can just build one. I can tell Tableau with a case statement that we're going to evaluate the variable type field. So variable type, when that identifies something as a numerator, we'll use that as a numerator. So, whoops, excuse me. Let me actually write this with the right syntax. Okay, so I'm just saying, hey, if I have a variable type, then give me the value. If it's numerator, give me the value, and that's just a tiny little statement. And we divide that by the same thing for our denominators. So these two together, I can do just one calculation, and I'll just call this my ratio. I know I could have done this with fewer clicks, but heck, that's where I'm at. I've got my ratio calculation. So with this ratio calculation, now I can go back in and grab those different metrics that I built, margin and unit price, and Tableau's going to automatically grab the right fields so that it's grabbing the numerator and the denominator correctly to give me my sum of profit divided by sales and then my sum of sales divided by sum of quantity. So little shortcuts like this, if you're using something like Excel where you don't tend to have enough data to really slow it down, can make your formatting and your setup a whole lot easier. So put the data in Excel wide, and then when you pivot it, you can use these reference tables to really cut down your development time.
Wow. Okay. The pivoting seems like such a big game changer.
Isn't it?
Would you, so I didn't even really think about doing calculated fields in Tableau just because it's already the calculated ratios are already in Excel. Do you suggest just doing the calculated fields in Tableau or leaving them in Excel?
Do you intend to give your end users filters?
Yes.
Then I would say yes. The challenge with ratios is as you start filtering, how do you calculate those if they're already done at the row level? If I have 20% in Chicago and 10% in Atlanta, if I average those together, it gets 15. But what if Chicago was a lot bigger than the Atlanta underlying numbers, that distorts your ratios. So yes, ratios I really do tend to do in Tableau.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Back
Wow,
to
thank
you,
you so
Heather.
much. Oh my goodness, thank you.
No
I'm
worries.
so glad, Cora, that that was helpful. All right, I'll share my screen, Christy.
There you
There we
go.
go. And we're gonna keep on spinning because that's how we roll today. So we're bringing it back. So we'll spin again. All right. So this was from Jonathan today. And what would you recommend someone do in order to gain better skills using Tableau? So you are in great hands, Jonathan, because Christy, Sarah, and myself, we have all been Tableau trainers. In fact, Christy and Sarah have trained me in different ways in different courses of visual analytics and the advanced. And Chris was also a trainer. So you're surrounded by Tableau instructors. But Sarah, we're going to hand this question over to you because that is what you did with all of us partners for many, many years. You helped us with the training perspective. So I'll hand this to you, girl.
Yes. Um, I was just pulling something up over here, so let me share my screen. Of course, I have way too many things open. Okay. So I pulled up the Tableau certification page and not necessarily pushing certifications, but how you get educated and ramped up for certifications is a great way to start your Tableau journey, right? There's going to be a lot of great resources on here. There's some, um, it has some Tableau classes, but what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go into the certifications and I'm going to click on this certified Tableau data analyst. And while you might not be ready for this exam, it's a intermediate, the role is data analyst and all of that. The resources provided for this certification exam are going to really, really help you ramp up on Tableau and get a really good understanding. So if I scroll down to, okay, prepare, what am I looking for? I am looking for, oh, the exam guide. I didn't need to scroll down, it's right here. So I'm going to go into the exam guide. And this is going to talk about, there's lots of different information in here. It's going to talk about the objective domain for this certification, but it's also, let me scroll down a little bit. There's some recommended training and resources. So there's the analyst learning path. There's Tableau Desktop 1 fundamentals. There's Tableau Desktop 2 intermediate, and then Tableau prep. So these are kind of the ways that you can start that process. These are instructor-led classes. Some of these, the path is not, but these three down here are instructor-led classes. And they do a great job of really giving you that foundational understanding of all the things that you need to know in order to get all ramped up on Tableau. Now, the downside, as you might have guessed, is cost. These cost money, and sometimes, depending on your perspective, they might be a little expensive. So, a lot of this content is replicated in e-learning. So, the analyst learning path, this is just one of many e-learning paths. Let's see if I can log in. It's gonna let me. Yeah. So I have a lot of different things on here, but if you scroll here, you can see that you have your analyst learning path. And one thing you'll notice in here is it has a lot of very similar data to see kind of to understand these different the different aspects very similarly how those classes walk you through those topics, except this is self-paced and also it's significantly cheaper than going into an ILT class. Um, if you do buy e-learning, you get a ton of these learning paths. You also get some of these courses. So there is a Tableau Fundamentals, very similar to the ILT course, but again, self-directed self-study on these. So this is a great place to go. This is kind of like I'm going from most expensive to least expensive here. So this is middle of the road, not as expensive. We also internally have at Boulder our own e-learning platform. So, and I can pop this back over to either Chris or Heather to talk further about that. We also have our own e-learning platform. Heather, do you want to just speak on that for like a couple seconds before I go to?
Sure. Yeah, we
Yeah.
have something called the Boulder Insight Academy. I'll put a link to that, and we often will organize public courses and things, or we can bring it to your organization if we're doing it with your organization, or regardless. There is something called an LMS system, a learning management system, and we actually record our trainings, and you have access to them for 120 days after training as well. So I'll put the link in for that.
Yeah.
And you can always reach out to us about that. And we'll be talking about a new offering that we're going to be doing in 2026 at the end of this call, too. So
Oh,
I'll be sure
yes.
to get to that, too. So
I won't steal your thunder on that.
that's all good.
Um, so again, we're kind of talking about different levels and costs. The last option that is not that's free is Salesforce Trailhead. So obviously Tableau was purchased by Salesforce. Now there are a lot of trails and trail mixes and things like that that you can review to get up on Tableau in general for free. And if I go down, I can select once I'm on the trails, I can select products, and I believe it's bottom because it's alphabetical. Um, and look at the product and then see a bunch of different types of trails and things that I can review that are focused around Tableau Desktop. So those are kind of the more formal items, like I said, from kind of most expensive to least expensive. There's also a lot of one of the things that I loved doing when I first started learning Tableau is going to Tableau Public and just reviewing and looking at the different visualizations that people have created. The majority of these visualizations on Tableau Public, you can download. So you can see a cool visualization, you can download it, you can reverse engineer what they did. You can even, if you maybe notice some things that you like or don't like, you can kind of replicate those, or you can adjust those. And it's a great way to just see how other people are using Tableau and get a little bit more hands-on experience. So, um, those are kind of my favorite ways. I'm also a big proponent of just trying things, right? Of going and working in the product and trying new things. Obviously, more formal education is going to help you with like the things you don't know, and help you with kind of the best practices around them. But it's also really great to just get your hands on the product, go out there, like I said, with Tableau Public, see how other people are using it. And then you can always, throughout your Tableau journey, try different ways of learning through either kind of formal instruction, um, or formal instructor led versus self-directed. Heather,
Thanks so much,
anything
Sarah.
else you want to add to that,
Yeah, I'm going to
or
put
anyone
in
else?
just this. This is an old link that I used to love. I used to do this with any trainer we were onboarding on our team. It's kind of a hidden page. You won't find it easily, but this is a starter kit that I just put in there. And the cool thing about that, is if you kind of follow that in order, it helps you understand just what is this whole data visualization thing. I love section 2. If you click on that real quick, Sarah, there's the Hans Rosling TED Talk
Oh,
about
I do like that one.
data visualization and things. So a lot of these links, and then if you get to work with data, section 4, building vises. So you'll start to see there's often some free training videos there too that teach you different
Hmm.
chart types and things. Most of these still work. There have been updates to Tableau since some of these, but they're still pretty solid and foundational pieces, and just a free way to kind of work your way through understanding what a viz is and how you author it and all the pieces. So that's just one of my favorite little
Yeah.
bookmarks that
Yeah.
I've seen
And
over the years.
there's also quite a few other partners, creators out there, YouTube channels, our YouTube channel. There's lots and lots of videos out there that you can kind of watch and go a bit more familiar as well.
For sure. Thanks, Sarah.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, back to our spinner. We have a few more questions that were submitted.
Oh, I got to stop sharing. There we go.
You
Back to
go,
you.
that's all right. Back to me. Um, and when I bring up that, I may have reset our spinner, so we'll see if I did because I opened it in the same field. Okay, we're going to keep spinning because that's what I do here. We've already answered these questions. So there we go. This will be the next question now. So Chris, this one is going to be from you, and Vali is on the call as well. So Tableau servers, disaster recovery, and fault tolerance. Vali, if you have any, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, feel free to correct me. But if you have anything you want to add specifically about that to give us some context, that would be great.
Yeah, actually, I'm just doing a Tableau administration work recently because I don't have much experience on administration side, but I'm just trying to learn on Tableau server uh, concepts. So when I just saw in my current organization, like they don't have any disaster recovery mechanism which is
Mm,
implemented. So I wanted to know much more information about that so that as a suggestion, I can just go through it and implement in my current role.
that
Yeah.
sounds great, Vali. That's a big job to take on. So, Chris,
Yeah,
I'll
for
let you
sure.
handle that one.
Yep. I got it. So I'm gonna pull over a thing to share. So really the way it kind of works is so it's actually HA, high high availability. And so this is a good article here that walks you through kind of how to set it up. There will be different actually clusters that you'll have.
Okay.
That's like probably the best. It's not a great article. Let me find one's better. But this is what you're going to want to look for.
Hmm.
There is let me look. So, do it again. There's a way to is that the one I just had? No, that's not it. It should have a picture of the different ways you set it up. And it's depends on what you're actually doing. If you're you know if you have a lot of live connections, you do it one way. If you have a lot of extracts, you do it a different way. Maybe this is it. Yeah, okay. Here you go. So this is your like a single node cluster, and then if you had a three node cluster, so you have your load balancer, and then you see you have backups of every single process. So that way, if there's one thing that goes down, it just falls over to the other one. So that's
Yeah,
really your best bet. Let me send you this.
yeah. Thank you so much. I was struggling to find these articles, even though like I just go to this Tableau server page many times, like
Yeah.
a picture represent more like clear way of understanding things. So this would
Yeah,
be
the
help
other
me.
the other the other thing I'll tell you that'll make it really easy is we actually have a service called a server guard, and this is where we actually do all of the work for you. So we would take care of setting up the three node cluster. We would do all the upgrades, all the backups, cleanups, maintenance, you name it. So it's really kind of this whole like a fractional for fractional like a server admin model. So what we've
Okay.
done is we have it actually scripted out. So a lot of this stuff is done. So you don't have to worry about working nights and weekends sometimes. If you've ever done an upgrade to a Tableau server, so some of them go smooth, some of them don't. And so when they don't, and it's during the week, you're like freaking out. So
Yep.
this is a way to not have to do that. But I'll
Okay.
stick this out there too for you.
I already put it in for you,
Okay,
Chris.
great,
So
thanks.
yeah, that's in there.
But
But yeah, that it is no small task to be in charge of the servers. So
Yeah.
Vali, if you need any support, I'm going to have. I'll show you on our Chris, maybe even on our website. If you want to scroll down, you can show her how to schedule time with you too, if she
oh,
ever just needs to talk afterwards. Oh, maybe it's only on the homepage right now. But I have that link at the end of the call too. So you'll notice in the
there's a
bottom there's
button.
scheduled time with Chris on Calendly. Feel free to reach out for a free project consultation
Sure.
and get some time on his calendar because I know it's a big role and it's just not as intuitive. It's very nuanced in server. So we have a couple ways that we can support you there. So
Yep.
Sure. Thank you.
sure thing. I'll share my screen again. And we will spin. All right, so this moves into our greatest hits. How do I know which chart to use when? So this is something that's been submitted and asked of us anytime we teach classes by the Tableau Live community over time as well. And so today we are going to be giving you a free dashboard with all this information where we've collected things over the years. So if you look, this is often something we use in the Boulder Insight Academy. Let me actually present this. And we start with the activity of, there are different types of questions that you're answering in data visualization. So if I'm trying to measure progress towards a goal, what's the best chart type for that? Or if I want to view a distribution or a correlation, what's the best chart type for that? And so in this workbook, we fill that in for you, so you have that. So if we do want to measure progress towards a goal, a bar and bar graph is great, a bullet graph, a simplified bullet graph. These are all great ones to use. If I want to view a correlation, scatter plots and reference lines with or without reference lines or scatter plots within a quadrant. If we want to see distribution, histograms and box and whisker plots. So lots of different ways to do it. So what we've done is we've taken each of these categories of what the chart's for. And what we have in the workbook then is charts for measuring progress towards goal. Here's a simplified bullet graph. That's the starter with the step-by-step instructions. And here is the solution. It is loading. That shows you what a simplified bullet graph would look like with reference lines. So this is showing you where the actual is, where the goal is, and whether or not they've met it. That those red ones you can see have not met goal. And so we need to, this is the average reference line. I'm sorry, I should have said all of these have met goal or exceeded goal. So just showing you all kinds of ways that you can be doing this. So this workbook is something that we are going to be sharing with you at the end of the call. But you can see, I'll just click on the Brady Bunch icon there at the bottom. This little icon will give you all of your thumbnails. So you can see everywhere there's a blue chart. That's one of those areas saying here's data over time, here's viewing specific values, here's correlations, distributions, comparing measures, comparing parts to the whole, comparing and ranking categories, showing location, and some dashboard examples that are in here. So this is one of my favorite resources that we've built over the years, pulling in lots of chart types that we love and ways to be able to answer them. We do know your classic line chart and your bar chart are really, really powerful charts to use. These just give you some additional ones to think about the type of question you're asking and the type of chart that's going to be the best to visualize that. So hopefully that will be something everyone will appreciate. So that will be something we'll be sharing with you too. But I know we're getting close on time, so I'm going to spin again. Okay, so this is also from Vali for the best design principles with SQL views at the back end. So Vali, if you want to give us some specifics about what you mean by that question, we've assigned this one to Chris to answer too. So.
Yeah, as we are developing few dashboards, which is public facing, like we are just having a Tableau server online and it's a public facing dashboards. So we are just trying to do some view sequels and we are embedding those views in the dashboard. And I'm just trying to do some optimization, like performance level, because like in the views, like when we embed the views in the Tableau desktop, it's more like easier for us to just go through the business level data story representation. So instead, like previously, we used to embed a Excel file or an extract, which does everything. But since like going forward, we are considering the views as a backend process. We wanted to know like what are the best design approach when we use views, or like whether we'll be able to combine views as we combine SQL's tables, like in the data prep area. Like, can we combine views and bring some stories from the desktop? Like those kind of basic questions when we embed a
Yeah.
view, SQL view with
Yeah, so let me
Tableau.
ask a couple questions. So one is, so are your, so are, so these Tableau workbooks, are they live connections to these views?
No, they
Okay.
have extracts. Yeah.
Yeah, you should be fine then. So if yes, if that's the case, you know, so I mean, typically views are actually slower than like a link in the tables directly. But
Okay.
if you're doing an extract, it's not going to matter. So that's
Okay.
actually fine.
Okay.
As far as like design, I don't think it really matters because your view is going to be a big like flat table anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So which is actually fine. The only thing I would say is that once you get your workbook finished, make sure you actually click on the extract and then do it again, and then actually choose the like hide unused fields option. So if there are more fields in your view than you're not using in your workbook, then you don't actually want them as a part of the data set. So there's things like that to make it more performant. Um, we have a list somewhere of kind of the steps you go through to make your dashboards faster. So a lot of those things are just really, not like showing all the data all the time. Because the more marks you show, the slower it's going to be. That's probably the number one thing I see is everybody wants to give you all the data at once. So really having a guided view so you can kind of drill down as you go.
Yeah, the concept is mainly like why we are just switching from our data tables into a viewers. Like we wanted to follow this guided analytics where like we just have certain views for certain level of dashboards that can be represented. And
Sure.
my question is like, can we combine views? Like if you have multiple views in a single dashboards,
Sure.
we can combine the same way, but only thing like we need to have a common feel between those views,
Yeah,
right?
you have
Like
to
it's
have
similar
some
to
some
the
common feel. Yeah. And then maybe Christy or Sarah could comment on what's the best. Well, I guess it depends on you do a join or you do a relationship.
Yeah, that's what my question is. Yeah.
Christy, I know you have some feelings on that, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean it really depends, and I do have so many feelings. It depends. For me, I keep one physical table should always be at the same level of detail.
Okay.
Yeah, so whatever one row is in your data, every number should represent that row. Profit is profit for that line item. Sales is sales for that line item. If you're using a relationship, it's when you have things at different levels of detail. Does that help a little bit?
Yeah, yeah. Because like I'm currently like having different views and I wanted to pull all the views into a single dashboard, but the truth is like we have some common fields between these views, but my understanding is like whether I need to use a join or a relationship is my question, which always pops up. But after you just confirmed, I'm just now clear. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, thank you.
All
Is there any
right.
best practices which is available online for these particular like views embedding within Tableau? Somewhere where I can just pull my thoughts like to understand what are the best practices which are.
Chris, are there best practices any articles on best practices for embedding?
Yeah, I'm looking. I don't know. I don't
Okay.
think I don't know of any, but I can look and see what I can find out.
All right. And while Chris is doing that, I'm going to spin the wheel. This is the last question submitted today. And it's really not much of a question. It's actually a statement from our dear Russ Cantrell from University of South Alabama. We've known Russ for a long time, and he just said he just wanted to wish you all well on your last live. So that was just the sweetest, and I thought I was going to include it in the spinner, Russell. I wasn't sure if you'd be here today, so thank you for that sweet gesture, and we've so loved working with you and watching all the great things you're doing in higher ed. And you've been on stage yourself at TC. We've been so proud of watching all the growth and things that you've done. So thanks, Russell. All right. So Chris, I will start looking for those other best practices links as well. One of the things we're excited to share with you all, I talked about some free giveaways for you all today. So what I want Chris to do right now is take a little bit of time to show something we're super excited about. It's called the Tableau Advanced Color Organizer. It's a taco for things that are sometimes a PITA, a pain in the that can happen. So in the arse, we would say, so this taco is not a pita, and this is something that makes your life easier. So Chris, I will stop sharing my screen and let you demo what taco does right now.
Yeah, sure. Let me get back to, there we go. Okay. Yeah. So what this so if you've ever tried to, when you go into to like Tableau, you have, I'll just pull up anything here. I've got stuff open. No, I'll show you this. Doesn't matter. Anyway, when you go into to actually Tableau, let's make this not so crazy looking. Actually, doesn't matter. Get off there. All right, let's just make something really quick. Let's just do type. Okay, so if you were to put type on color, you get these options of different palettes. Well, so in Tableau, you can actually set your own. So these down at the bottom. So lightning watermelon is the last one that Tableau gives you. But I've got a bunch of other ones here that I have. And how you get those is on your machine inside of your like documents folder. You'll have this like a Tableau repository. And so this preferences file is how you kind of change those. So if I was to open that file up, it's just like a lot of like XML. So take some time messing with this, and it's not intuitive. I don't even know what color that is. I'd have to go and look it up. So I thought, Tableau is a very visual tool. So let's actually change it and like make actually this actually visual. So how that works is you go into the taco, you sign in, and hopefully I got the right password. There we go. And so basically this is going to load my load like a preference file for me. Now the first time you have to go in and you have to go and actually select it the first time you go in here. So it's already there, it doesn't matter. And then if I make any changes or whatever I make, so say I wanted to, want to move these emotional colors up to here. So now you see this save button now lights up. So I can now save that, and it'll change out the order. And then we've got a bunch of other palettes on here. So this is kind of the gold standard for a colorblind. But as you see, my actually checking of colorblind wants it like 98% different. I got it set pretty tight. So this one doesn't even pass my kind of standards. So we made a one that we actually fixed. So now they all pass. Now this bottom one, this is almost impossible to get these to match, but I think most people will agree if you can get these three to work with the different types of a colorblind, it actually works great. So if I wanted to add this palette, I could just say save as new, and it's going to put it right in there for you. So done. If I wanted to clear out the color editor and I wanted to add in some new colors, if I went to like this cooler site is one that I really love. If I grab a sample palette from here, let's say I like, let's pick a good one. So, I'll just do this one. So I do this one, I copy as actually array, come in here and paste, and done. So now I can add that as a new actually palette. And then all I have to
Or
do,
you can put in
yeah,
your own style guide,
yeah, put in your own
hex
style
codes
guide.
too. Hmm.
Yep, totally. And just save it down, and it goes on top of your same preferences file you already had. Sometimes it wants to put a one after it, so you want to write that over. And so now I didn't name that; I just named it pasted colors. But now, anytime I open up a new like Tableau file, it'll have those in it. So kind
And
of
one
a
of the things I love about what you've done with Taco, Chris, is not only do I love Taco Tuesdays, but you can share this. So sharing the love is always great. So once you create color palettes for your company, you can share that with the whole team. So everybody would have it. So, and there,
yeah.
Chris, you could show that one more time that it
Yeah.
was in your
So
in
yeah,
your
so if
color
we do
palette.
this, so
Yeah.
like say I want to share like these three palettes with somebody, I just click the share button, and that's going to share the palettes, and you just save them down, replace, and I'll actually show you how this works. So I'm just going to delete these out of mine. So I'll delete, wipe some out, delete, and I'll save it down to preferences again. So this way they don't actually exist here. And then if somebody had, so like let's say that somebody had sent me those three palettes. Well, I don't have to go and create them. I can just hit this merge button. And so now I can go right back to the shared palettes that I just had, and that's going to put those three in for me somewhere. Oh yeah, that was them. Those top three. So yeah.
Yep, that's great, Chris. I'll go ahead and share my screen. Go and just talk through a few more things. One thing that I just learned, Chris, testing Taco when you released it is that if you go to any of your workbooks and you can't remember to go to my documents and to go to documents in my Tableau repository, you can actually open up one of your workbooks and there's something called repository location here.
Mhm.
So that will take you directly to where that is, documents my Tableau repository. So that was something I just learned in the last couple of weeks when I was testing Taco. So pretty fun that that's in there as well. Some other things that we want to make sure you know about and that we're excited about that's coming in 2026. We want to bring Tableau Live to your organization. So although we won't be doing the monthly sessions anymore for individuals, we will bring it to your organization. So if you have a department, if you have Tableau user groups at your company and you want us to come and do this, we can set up a session where we answer the questions your team has. We can sign an NDA even and look at your own data and try to help people as well. So if you're interested in this, we'd love to be able to do that. Just shoot us an email at info@boulderinsight.com and say, I want Tableau Live for my organization, and we'll get you going there. We also are going to be launching something that we've been piloting with Christy, and it's called project-based learning for teams. And so the great part about this, Sarah showed lots of options for training for you all today that are instructor-led. She said ILT at one point. That means an instructor-led training or e-learning options. But all of that is done with training data. So the difference with this is that this is structured with 2-hour live virtual sessions. You're creating your own development paths. You're using your own data throughout this. So there'll be coaching and feedback sessions for you. We teach you how to anonymize your data if it's data that you can't share with other teams at your company, or we will be looking at possibly offering some to the public in general. But this is something that we can bring to your organizations. It's 6 to 8 weeks. And by the time you're done, not only will you have learned how to use Tableau, you'll have learned how to use Tableau with your own data and create your own dashboard. So it's something that's super powerful and something that a version of that we did with Alexi that's on the call as well. We want to offer you some links to past webinars too. So Jordan, if you could put the link into the chat, that would be great. We have 3 different webinars this year that we did with Carasoft, and so we thought we'd include those. And then we have a Tableau Live library. So if you want to go back over the past 5 years, our YouTube channel has all of the Tableau Live sessions that you can go to, and they're indexed. And then the final thing that I wanted to offer is a Calendly linked for a 30-minute strategy session with Chris. We want to make sure if you do have questions, you know you're not alone. We're still here with you. So I'll put that link into the chat as well for folks. So you've got that so you can have support from Chris anytime. So I know we're at time. We just want to take time to thank each of you for the many, many months of showing up month after month for over these years, bringing your toughest questions, your curiosity, and just being such an important part of our community. Your questions have helped us form our roadmap and sharpened our content, and you just make us better. And so we're hoping we get to see more of you all at your organizations, but please reach out anytime. And be sure to be keeping an eye on our website. We have some cool changes coming and lots of really awesome things that we've been doing with AI lately. So keep in touch, reach out if you need us. And thank you, thank you, thank you for all the years of questions and answers we've had together. It's been so much fun. Take care, everyone.